Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's the Black Mountain Critic here. We're live with another rambling stream. Definitely gonna be doing more of these, as I continue to learn, listen, read, do all that. Again, there are plans to react to manga, just not right now at this moment. So look out for those. Like I'll probably make like an announcement or like whatever about that. All right, but definitely had to do this rambling stream because I think again it's like time and time again we sort of always come back to these discussions that shouldn't need to be had, but are necessary, at least on my end, at least from me, right? Like I don't believe that black women, cis black women, trans black women, black femmes they shouldn't have to defend themselves or explain things, or that to me are very straightforward, right? And when I say straightforward, I don't mean that those things aren't nuanced in terms of all the things that need to be discussed, so much as these are very straightforward kind of ideas to sort of live by and follow into, and things to not, and certain things that you shouldn't do, right? So again, it's another day, another moment where, this is a conversation that needs to be had, and another day in which, black guy, black folks, black guys, right? Along with white guys, non-black POC, black indigenous and right POC, right? But men, right? Are not getting it. And again, it's it's not even mind-boggling to me. It used to be mind-boggling. Now it is not, because I think there were very clear reasons sort of why that is. But anyways, to sort of get into kind of this discussion, again, feel free to come through, be in the chat. If you have questions or thoughts that you want to kind of bring to the table, obviously this is a place where you can do that. But essentially, all right, we're gonna be talking about, as sort of the title kind of implies, we're gonna be talking about J. Cole and the sort of clownery that he has exhibited, and why it is clownery, right? And we're going to be going through the song. We're going to be going through the lyrics. And I think that's one of the things that sort of must be done. Because a big part of why black men in particular, right? Black men in particular are not getting it is because of their, I wouldn't even say lack of reading comprehension. I think some people, yeah, but I think it also gives black men an excuse to be oh, well, they just lack these skills. And it's no, a lot of it is very willful, right? You can willfully misread things. And this is something that, I've learned throughout my education from different people, from close reading texts or doing all that work. It's you can willfully misread things, right? You can sort of read something and say, this is what I'm going to pull out of it, instead of what's actually there and what's actually being implied, and reasons A, B, and C why those things are there and why they're being implied, right? So we're gonna kind of get into that with with this stream, and we're just gonna go through the lyrics. So I've already listened to the song, although I didn't really need to listen to the song. I could have just read the lyrics, gone through them, and understood what was happening, which I did. And although I will say that, although tone is sort of the root of that is sort of auditory, that does not mean that tone only encompasses the auditory, right? You can have there can be tone can encompass the ways in which you your mouth sort of moves when you say particular things, the way your body moves when you say particular things, the way individuals interact when things are being expressed, when ideas are being expressed. So that like right, so like I didn't have to listen to the song, but I did because I think a lot of individuals who were listening to the song. So I can't sort of like leave that out for those particular individuals who were listening to the song and came to their very erroneous conclusions, right? And I think the song has like the sort of like auditory tone of it has something to do with that. So with that being said, let's kind of like just get into and y'all already know how I feel about it, right? I've been on Twitter. I've said what I said. I think this is going to be the last time that I say something on Twitter after this rambling stream, because I'm going to kind of get out my ideas here. But that does not mean that I'm not going to be open to having discussions with people through DMs, through a Hangouts call, whatever. I've said this consistently. My DMs are open, right? Like, I mean, I don't leave my DMs open, but my DMs are always open to people who like ask, who want to hear things, who want to have that conversation. And like, I'm not gonna DM like person A, B, C, F over there. I want you to, at the very least, be willing to have those conversations, because I know that people often are not. Men often are not willing to have those conversations, although that doesn't mean that they don't at all. It's just saying often do not and will not seek those conversations out unless they are with individuals who already held their very harmful, misogynistic, misogynoir esque like beliefs. So again, DMs are right. DMs are always open to those folks who want to talk, want to have those conversations, all those things. Okay, so we're gonna get into the lyrics, and again, we got to do this because I could talk. Like, all right, I could talk about these things, but again, like it behooves me to use the lyrics, right? Because that's what a lot of guys are looking at, and they're coming across, and they're coming away with their like ridiculous ideas about what J. Cole was doing and what was happening and da 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 da. So let's get into it. All right. So let's see. So we kind of start off here with, and this is going to be a pretty lengthy stream, obviously, because of the lyrics and all that stuff, and talking about it. So it starts off where he says, I'm not going to say it because I don't say that in my everyday life, but like if you have it in front of you, great. And if you have it in front of you, that would be awesome too, because I'm not putting it on the screen. I'm not doing that. All right. So it says, dudes be, or people be thinking I'm deep, intelligent, fooled by my college degree. Immediately right there, it's like there are certain things that black men do whenever they sort of enter a particular kind of conversation with that sort of tries to where they try to kind of because I'm a black man, where we try to avoid any sort of accountability or criticism by making these sort of like hedging sort of like statements, right? And this is all, like immediately the song starts with that. And to some, they will read that and they'll be like, but J. Cole just said, people think I'm deep and intelligent because I have a college degree, right? And he's like, but right, and he's starting with that because he wants people to be like, no, don't assume that because I went to college and I did this work and I did all these things that I'm in any way deep or intelligent, which is like, no. Like, no. Right? Like in this situation, it's used differently, right? Like, and like, right? Because I've said like on numerous occasions, right? It's like, yeah, like just because you did particular things does not mean that you are for particular causes and that sort of thing, right? Like it's like there was a whole school, right, of criticism, the Dunning School, who were extreme of scholars who were extremely racist, and their scholarship showed that, right? And for the longest time, literally for decades, people were like, we gotta go with this because these are the folks. Like, even though all the stuff was incredibly racist, right? In terms of talking about the Reconstruction period and black and black folks and what was going on during those periods and forward. So again, just like I know a lot of folks like, right, like, yeah, they have PhDs, but they're like their work does not reflect a support, right? May not necessarily reflect support of marginalized folks. So there's that situation there. And then there's J. Cole talking about, man, why you expect so much from me because I went to college? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what is that? You know what I mean? And exactly. Shouts out to Dame Dr. Foxy Brown in the chat, right? Like, for me, yeah, like my degree in English literature, right? At the very least, like for me, I want people to know, like, yes, I went to the school, I got this degree, and my 2 years in my in the doctoral program that I was in before I said this ain't for me, right? Is like that's right, and also in literature, right? Should say, oh, at the very least, this person probably knows what they're doing in terms of close reading. At the very least, this person has read certain texts that talk about, right, literary theoretical texts and that sort of thing, right? And for me, I want people to know that. I want people to know that, right? So it's interesting, and I say interesting because it's like it's not really interesting, but it's like it's a phrase that I like to use, right? It's like and what I really mean is like it's the fact that J. Cole's decided to start this song, that matters, right? If you ever taken like in any way, right? How you start songs, how you start poems, how you title them, all of those things matter. They all matter. There were intentions behind them, right? There were intentions. So he decides to start this line with Nick, folks be thinking I'm deep, intelligent, fool with my college degree. I'm like, bruh, you are literally telling folks that they should not look to your college degree as something that as something that sort of like validates your ability to think critically. Folks be like, don't even look at my college degree. Don't even look at the work that I've done there. Don't even pay attention to that. Don't even pay attention to that. I could never. You know, like that's so already he's starting right by sort of hedging like the conversation by saying, okay, I'm entering this particular space and saying, don't even think that I'm that down. I'm not even that smart. I'm not really that smart. Like, yeah, I went to college, but the degree don't really mean nothing because I didn't really like. What are you talking about? So you already started and you're already disgraceful stuff already in the first line. So then we move on to right. So he said, folks be thinking I'm deep, intelligent, fool with my college degree. My IQ is average. There's a young lady out there. She way smarter than me. Now, this is even more insidious. This is a very insidious thing. This is something that men do all the time. This is something that we do all the time, right? We will start a conversation, right? And we will sort of present this compliment that really sort of belies a more insidious sort of idea that's being held, right? That's something I've seen so often. I'd be like, yo, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you know, where he says, my IQ is average. He's trying to sort of present himself as someone who is inferior in a sense, and thus kind of like a victim, which is a language that is very problematic, right? Already. So, right, that language is like, right, like, okay. So he says, my IQ is average. Okay, whatever. Don't really matter. this like IQ and like we could go on and on about like, you know, studies that have been done talking about the sort of uselessness of ranking IQs and measuring IQs and all of that, right? And the implicit sort of racist bias that are going into that. And thank you. I think I so. And the phrase that I like is false humility. That's the term. False humility. This is something that dudes do all the time. They'd be like, I'm not even that great, you know. I mean, you're smarter than me, right? So, you're smarter than me, so you should do more work on this project. You're smarter than me, so you should be the one to take the brunt of the punishment or whatever when things hit the fan. You know what I mean? And this is stuff that guys really do not like. A lot of guys really do not get. They and some of them do, right? Like I think a lot of them do. I think some don't. Some really just like don't. And and I would say to that like a lot of those like folks are like children, right? And are like 7 years old. All right? But like adults know. We know when we're saying things and why we're saying them. We know. So if we start that conversation, right? When we start those conversations, whatever sort of the situation is, with these sort of compliments that really belie a more insidious, that really have more of an insidious nature, right? That's why you see all of these guys talking about, well, why are y'all so mad? He said she's smarter than him. And then they stop there. They don't even move forward. They don't move forward from that lyric, from that idea. They don't go further. They don't go deeper. They don't think more. And this is something that, again, guys, we do all the time. All the time. And this is why it's very calculated. Whether it's inadvertent or not, right? Or a conscious sort of effort. It's very calculated, right? Right? There is inadvertent, right? There are inadvertent rhetorical strategies and very conscious rhetorical strategies. And this is one of them. It happens all the time. And I know there are dudes out there who are like, you don't even know what you're talking about. As I'm literally telling you and explaining these things, you're like, nah, dismissive, deflective, whatever. You know? So already we've started off and J. Cole has set up this space to be something that benefits him immediately, right? In a very insidious way. Now we go on, right, to the next lyric, and it's like, I scrolled through her timeline in these wild times, and I started to read. One, weird, right? It's like, if someone was like, yo, man, I was reading your tweets, and, you know, immediately I'm kind of like on the defense. I'm like, but I think even more so, right? Because, right, and this is my experience as a black man. Right, as a bi black man, right? That's my experience. I'm just kind of like already sort of like, and for reasons that are very different for why women are immediately like, no, right? Imagine if someone came into your DMs, right? At least for me, I'd be like, whoa. But if it's a woman, a black woman, and they get, or women in general, right? And they get someone coming into the DMs, that is immediately a cause for concern because of how many men come into their DMs with very disgusting intents, right? And objectives, right? So now J. Cole's like, oh, you know, I was scrolling through your timeline and like, yo, that's so, like, to me, that's already creepy, right? Why are you saying that? Why didn't you say, hey, saw what you said and this is, you know, and this is what I had to say? What, you couldn't talk to her, you couldn't talk to No Name and said, saw what you said about da 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 da, and this is so much more like stalkery. I scroll through her timeline in these wild times. Like, it's like, bruh, like, and guys will not get, and there's so many guys who will not get that. They'd be like, I didn't read that as stalker-esque. I didn't read that as creepy. I didn't read that as that. But that's because these are deliberate things that you're doing. You're reading things in a very deliberate way that belies an insidious intent. That's what you do. You willfully misread things. We willfully misread things. You know? But if you were listening, if you were actually listening to what all of the women on social media, in this life, in your daily lives were saying, they tell you that sounds creepy. They tell you that sounds creepy. This is creepy. It's creepy. Okay? So you gotta... There's work that you have to do, and part of that work means not willfully misreading things. Right? So he did this, right? So J. Cole said, I scrolled through her timeline. It's wild times. And I started to read. Okay? It's creepy, but let's move on. She mad at these crackers. She mad at these capitalists. Mad at these murder police. Okay, so now you're just saying things like, yeah, okay, all right. Now, even there, right? She mad. This is, again, like, everything is very deliberate. When you write things, right, there are reasons why you write them. There are like unconscious, conscious reasons why you write things the way that you write them, right? For me, if I'm writing a poem, there are very particular reasons why I use certain words, why I put them in a certain order, why I put them in certain lines, right? Why I title my poem in a certain way. All of these different things. And so to me, we immediately should think that J. Cole, as a rapper, as a poet, as someone who is very deliberate in his writing, in his thinking, that when he, instead of saying, oh, she's right about these crackers, these capitalists, about the way that these white people, these capitalists, these policemen, these murderers, all right, and what they're doing, he chooses to say, she mad. She mad at these folks. She's mad. Mad at, and he includes, she mad at our ignorance. She wear her heart on her sleeve. Now, again, there are very deliberate ways to write things so that you present them in a way that seems to be sort of complimentary and seems to say that you are on a particular person's side. And then there are ways that you write things to present an individual as someone who is right. And a black woman, it's very particular that he chose to present No Name, who is a black woman, as angry, as mad. Right? We know about this, and we know about the angry black woman rhetoric. We should know. If we don't, we should. And again, largely guys do not willfully don't want to get it. Literally, these things have been said for years upon years upon years. Again, some of y'all folks are like, y'all aren't children. You are in your late 20s. You were in your 30s. Some of you are in your 40s. You know about the angry, you know about this. You know about the angry black woman rhetoric. You know about that. Stop lying. Stop bull. Stop it. So already there's a way, there are ways in which you present things. And J. Cole has presented No Name as an angry black woman here in these lines. She mad, right? And he's drilling that in. And he's doing it at the beginning so that his fans, whoa, I have a nosebleed. Sorry, y'all. I got this nosebleed. But y'all know what I'm talking about, right? I'm just trying to make sure it, doesn't get any worse. All right? But y'all know what I'm talking about, okay? This is a very particular thing, all right? Folks who have done the reading, who have done the listening, who continue to do that, right? Who continue to have those conversations. We know what this is. We know what this is. Folks who have not done that work, who continue not to listen, who continue to willfully ignore black women, right? And black femmes, know, not to say that they don't know, but it's like, you know what I mean? Give me a second, I'll be right back. I think I'm okay. That's like the worst time to have like the nosebleed. Whatever. But we know that. So I don't want to hear folks talking about, oh, well, maybe. All you are saying on these Twitter streets is that you are not informed. There are things that you don't know. And J. Cole, he's gonna start to say these things. I don't know. I don't really read like that. Like, we're gonna get into it. So let's move on. All right. Right. She mad at the celebrities. Right. Okay. So again, J. Cole, the way in which he writes his rhetoric is very particular. He's already set up a pattern at the beginning of his song where he couches his where he sort of couches his insults in compliments, right? Oh yeah, she's mad at these folks. She should be mad. Like, and these are not real compliments, okay? And then he moves into the very obvious sort of like strikes, right? And attacks. She mad at the celebrities. Low key, I be thinking she talking about me. Right? Again, this is something that J. Cole is doing here in this song. It's very deliberate. And this is the thing, right? It's like, this is why, you see all these black women, all these black femmes like on Twitter, right? Talking about how y'all, J. Cole, like how the stands that are defending J. Cole, right? The stands that are defending J. Cole, their reading comprehension skills are lacking. They're lacking. Because if you had the skills that were necessary, you would be able to see these things. All right, we're back because this nosebleed is not going away. It's not going away. All right, sorry y'all. All right, okay, right? Where he's like, oh, okay, I'm not that smart. She's smarter. I'm this just humble individual. All right, who is noticing that this black woman is angry again, right? Like, it's like these just. You're not fooling me, J. Cole. You definitely not fooling black women and black femmes out here who are like, yo, what are you doing? This is trash. The clownery of it all. Right? You're not fooling us. That's no. All right. Now, I ain't no dummy. But you just said, my guy, folks should not think I'm intelligent. Folks should not think I'm deep. My IQ was average. This person is way smarter than me. So why are you even continuing with the song? If you wrote that down, why are you continuing with the song? You should have put the pen down or pencil or whatever it is that you were using to write or type, and you should have just said, you know what? I ain't even gonna put this out. I'm gonna go talk to this person and be like, you know what? Yo, no name. Or, you don't even, you're right. You could have been like, yo, no, there's a lot that I don't know. I see that you're doing these things and they're really helpful. What do you think that I could do to help? And I guarantee you no name would have said, yo, okay, I see you, here's what you could do. I guarantee it, right? In no way do black women have to do these things in terms of this sort of like emotional labor, right? Intellectual labor, right? On the command, on the behest of black men. They don't have to do that. They should, nor should, right? That's their decision, right? And they should not have to do that, right? But I have the feeling that No Name would have been like, all right, here are some places that you could donate to. Here's some places that you could go to help out. Here's some folks that I'd like you to boost. I guarantee it. No, he decided to keep writing this garbage song. All right? This not like right, it's not even mediocre. It's just trash. This is a trash song. All right? And he decided to keep going. Now he says, now I ain't no dummy to think I'm above criticism. So when I see something that's valid, I listen. But you aren't doing that. You're just writing a song. You're not listening. You're just saying these things. That like writing a song and putting it out and not talking to the person and not hearing what the person has to say, right? And engaging. Listening is not just you sitting there. There has to be a lot of sort of like thinking involved, true self-reflection, right? Right? Making sure that the person that you are listening to sees that, right, understands, can tell that you are listening. There's a lot that goes into that. And so for me, that's not true. When you say, so when I see something that's valid, I listen. You're not listening. Because immediately after you said that, you said, but damn, it's something about the queen tone that's bothering me. Immediately after you said that you listen, which you don't, which is very clear, because you double down on the nonsense on social media. That is not listening, folks. Doubling down and just being rooted in your misogynoir is not listening. That's not listening. Black men, this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is what I've been trying to tell you for literally years. Years. You are not listening. You are not listening. You are not listening. All right? It's something about the queen tone that's bothering me. Oh my Lord. Now again, it is consistent. J. Cole if he's doing anything to a T, it is the consistency at which he couches his insults in this false humility, in this backhanded sort of way, right? He is consistent. He is consistent in it. Morning, Hayes, what's up? Yeah, it does sound like that, right? It's like he's trying to kind of go back on it. It's like, no. My guy, that's what we call a contradiction when you're like, I ain't stupid. But at first, the first thing I said was, I ain't really smart. Folks are, no. Alright? Now we move on, right? And this is the thing, and we gotta go into this because again, this is what No Name tweeted, right? She said in caps, Queen Tone. There's a reason why this is the title of this discussion, right? And this is particularly insidious, and it's particularly related to obviously the whole thing is related to black women because No Name is at the center of this, right? There's a way in which J. Cole is censoring black women, but not in the ways that we should be censoring black women, right? There's a way in which he says, right, when he says Queen Tone, I will say this, there are individuals who I think are clearly reading it as, but look, J. Cole called her a queen. That's good. And I'm really I'm trying to avoid a certain kind of language that says, oh, because you did that, your intelligence is at this level or anything like that. I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to give you an out. I'm not going to give y'all black dudes an out. Right? Cis het like black dudes, right? I'm not giving y'all an out. Right? Because you're going to be like, you called me dumb. Like, no. I'm telling you that the way in which you are reading, right, in which you are close reading this text is not right. It is disingenuous. It is willfully ignorant. That's what's happening there. All right? Yeah. Again, my fiance, I love you. You know, another thing, right? And this is something that people have pointed out too, right? It's like, you should know that No Name is anti-capitalism. And then you call her a queen? You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that. Again, J. Cole is a poet. He is a rapper. This dude knows what he's doing. This is why folks be like, J. Cole's just saying these things. Are you serious? Imagine if I came to a rapper and been like, you didn't even really think about this stuff. You just wrote it down. You didn't really think about it. There's no real thought put behind it. Meanwhile, these same black men would be like, yo, this rap is so deep, though. So is it that he didn't put any thought behind it? Or he did? What is it? What is it? Right? What is it? What are you doing? Was this deliberate? Did you have Did you have particular thoughts? Did you use a very particular rhetorical strategy in order to get a very particular point across, in order to persuade a very particular audience, aka your fans and other individuals, aka black men? Cishet black men mainly? Is that what you were doing? Or were you just not doing much? You just sat here and are like, or you verbally, right? What did you do? So this is why, again, like these fans, they're not doing. It's not that they're not doing, like, some of them are not doing as much thinking as they should. They're not pushing. Others are being very, but there are others who are very willful about that, not pushing, right? About not going further, about not doing the close reading in the ways that we should be. I know this. I've seen this. I've seen this in student writing. I've seen it. I've seen students just be like, cold hard stop. But those are students who are like doing their thing, and it's a very different sort of situation, right? And there are reasons for that. Here, it's a very, right, and those reasons, usually it's because students have a lot of stuff going on, and maybe they don't necessarily have the energy, right, or the space or the resources to do the sort of work that they would like to do, right? In this situation, J. Cole is a whole multimillionaire, right? Probably living in a real nice house, okay, who has been very deliberate about what he's doing here, right? And fans are very deliberate about what they're doing, right? They're not pushing. They're not pushing. So let's continue. All right, and the queen tone again. Queen, right? This is the thing that we use, right? When you talk about like our queens and that stuff. I don't do that. Because it's just not a phrase that I particularly use. Right? But that does not mean that I don't like value Black women, support, right? So, support them. Notice when they're being treated like garbage, like as J. Cole's doing here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think oftentimes cishet Black men say that, and they do the same thing that's happening here. Well, they will say that to sort of deflect from the misogynoir that they are enacting, right? That they're spewing. That I've seen that a lot. Right? Yeah, that's my queen, but she's doing too much. Yeah, that's my queen, but she a little loud. Like, stuff like that. Just really insidious, nasty stuff. You know? So what's happening here is like the tone, and we're gonna get to we have to get to the tone, right? So what's right? He's enacting this thing, and it's like you should know No Name is an anti-capitalist. You should know she would not want to be right. She would not necessarily want to be called queen in this particular way, right? And the tone is what really gets me, and this is right, and it's why No Name highlighted that, and why other folks have been highlighting that, amongst other things, right? And why Black women have been highlighting that, and other folks have been, and Black femmes and other folks have been highlighting that, because tone policing is such a massive problematic that exists globally in so many different ways. All right. Now, again, like when I said at the beginning, all right, tone does not only encompass the auditory, right? Although the sort of root of that word very much so is like the sort of definition sort of has its roots in sound, right? But that does not mean that tone does not hold more. That doesn't mean more, right? Tone is not just about how you sound when you say a particular thing, right? It doesn't even necessarily have to be about sound. It can be the way in which you are, right? The way in which you are expressing a thought, right? And how that comes across, how that comes off as, right? So if I go like this, hello, my name is Black Manga Critic. I'm like, right? If I'm sitting like this, there's a very particular sort of, even then, it's not auditory, but there's a particular tone that's being set by the way in which I'm sitting, the way my body is sort of relaxed, all those different types of things. And so J. Cole, and he thinks he's slick. And his fans think they're slick. They're like, he didn't even sound upset. He didn't even sound, like he was very calm. This is another rhetorical strategy that is implemented, right? This is why when you go into different different spaces, right? You got a manager who's like, I don't like that tone. The customer didn't like the way you, right? They didn't like your tone. And that's a whole bunch of different things, all of which tend to be extremely racist, right? And encompass a misogynoir that is just disgusting. You know what I mean? So when he said that, one, he made sure to sort of make sure that the whole song was like this sort of calm sort of voice. All right? But you can be calmly insidious. You can be calmly disgusting. You can be, right? You can have like that sort of oxymoronic, like calm aggression. That's what's going on. That's what's going on here with J. Cole's song, right? Something about the Queen tone that's bothering me. Who cares, man? Shut up. Black women, black femmes, cis black women, trans black women, black femmes, all these folks, right? Non-binary, like non-binary folks, all these folks are dying, have died, are continuing to be harmed by the capitalist, patriarchal, racist, neoliberal state. Right? The ableist state, the fatphobic state. And you're here making this doofy song talking about her tone bothered me. Shut up, man. And then all these dudes going back and I'm like, are you kidding me? And all these dudes are like, but he said queen. He said queen. She made a tweet, so he has the right to be this way. You know what she did? On May 29th, she was like, yo, where the folks? Where the rappers at? What are they doing? Because they hadn't been doing anything. Right? The ones that she directed this energy towards. She was like, yo, what are y'all doing? And J. Cole read that as, oh, snap, she talking to me. Is it because maybe you thought you weren't doing much? Because you hadn't tweeted? Because you hadn't really done anything at that moment in time? I wonder why you felt the need to respond on June 16th. Why it took you so long to say anything. You didn't send a message, you didn't DM, you didn't do anything like that. You didn't request anything, you didn't ask. You didn't look, clearly you didn't Google. Didn't do none of that, you didn't do any of that. And yet, you decided to pull the clown, to just enact this clownery and be like, I'm gonna say something about No Name's tone. Extremely corny. Frito-Lay dude out here. Get this man a bag of corn chips. Stat. All right? We know. And this is not the whole song. I could stop there and have all I need. I won't do that because we're going through the whole song. Because folks gotta be like, oh, you know, what about this one line over here that says, you know. That's what folks are doing. They're trying to fight against the rest of the song, which is clearly, I mean, as a very misogynoir, like sort of, right, not sort of like a song steeped in misogynoir, right, directed at No Name, and they go into one lyric talking about, but J. Cole said we gotta love each other. I'm done. So let's move on. She strike me as somebody blessed enough to grow up in a conscious environment with parents that know about the struggle for liberation, and in turn, they provide her with a perspective and awareness of the system and unfairness that afflicts them. Okay. And what? That's awesome. That's great that she had those things. But again, there's this sort of dig that occurs that just doesn't make any sense. It's like, why are you saying these things as you talk about how you don't like her tone? My guy, what are you doing? And you also introduced this this idea as something that is offensive to you? For what reason? You know why? Because you have not done the reading. You have not done the work necessary. The necessary work to truly learn, to listen, to grow. And that is why you are here today, doubling down on, again, the clownery. This is why folks are literally throwing corn chip bags at you, sir. Again, J. Cole is very consistent in his song at couching these just jabs in these like backhanded compliments. This false humility. This like, I didn't have those things, and you know, that's why I'm 35 years old and I still don't really know what misogynoir is. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's absurd. Yo. So many people are coming to his aid. Black women are coming to his aid. And that is like, whoo. That is not, it's not my place to come at them. But I can be like, yo, that, uh-oh. But I can tell you that I've seen black women talk about that. The internalized misogynoir, like it's a trip. It's a trip. Don't come for J. Cole. It's a trip. It's a trip. All right. And again, right? They're like, right? Like Roxy Brown, right? Like Roxy Brown. They tell us, oh, they were simultaneously telling us we were reading too deep into the song and not reading it deep enough, right? Like, yo, I'm done. They don't even listen to themselves. They're not even listening to themselves. They're not even. Morning Haze, the folks are out. The stands are out. The fans are out. They are out here defending J. Cole to the death. For what? For what? What is that going to get them? How is that helpful towards a black liberatory politic? Right? To a black liberatory future? I don't know. Seems antithetical to it, but that's just me. All right? And let's continue. All right? It's like, yes, so what if No Name had a mother who was smart and owned a bookstore and supported her, and so what? So what if she was in environments that fostered growth and a desire to learn, and so what? What are you talking, like, good? What are you talking about, sir? This is why, again, these folks, they're just like, they keep reading these things. They're not reading deep enough. They aren't. But they want to tell you that, they want to tell us that we're not reading deep enough. No. You don't just say those things and then it's true. That's not how that works. Do you know what I mean? A perspective and awareness of the system and unfairness that afflicts them, and the clearest understanding of what we got to do to get free. Okay, why are you still writing this song as you're saying this? Why don't you just talk to No Name and say, hey, I know I haven't done the work and I wanna look into things, and I am looking into things, but I was wondering, because I know that you clearly started this book club and stuff like that. You could do that. You don't even have to do that. You could just see that she started a whole damn book club and read books from there, like thousands of other folks have been doing. You could start there, but you didn't even do that. You didn't want to do that because you're lazy. And willfully lazy. That's what that is. You know what I mean? For me, I know there are things that I can definitely do and that I can be better at. And I have to acknowledge those things and be like, all right, I can't, I haven't been doing the things that I need to do here. All right, let me look into how I can be better in these ways. And it doesn't necessarily involve asking Black women and Black femmes and for all right and non-binary folks for their labor, for their intellectual labor, for their emotional labor. Doesn't even have to involve that. And quite frankly, in this place that you are, it shouldn't involve that. You should just be like going out and Googling all the things, looking at No Names Book Club, checking out the books that that folks have suggested, reading them. If you right, and I'm talking to J. Cole, because J. Cole, right, as far as I know, right, like J. Cole, eyes are fine, right? He can see, he can hear, right? He can do these things. So grab a book, J. Cole. Right? The reason why you don't have a clear understanding and you don't have a very good understanding is because you're not doing the work. That's why. You're not doing it. So why are you bringing up No Names? Why are you bringing up No Name? What is your issue? We know what the issue is. This man is insecure. A lot of these dudes that are supporting J. Cole are very insecure. They haven't done the reading. They haven't done much of the work. And even though they haven't done any of that stuff in their big ages, they still want to be like, but I need you to treat me like I'm 5, and I need you to have compassion and understanding. Y'all don't have any compassion and understanding for these Black women and Black femmes and non-binary folks out here. For all these queer folks out here. You have no compassion. Yet you're asking for it. Trash. Utter garbage. Dumpster juice. These are folks who are doing so much work. So much work. So much amazing work. Fantastic work. And y'all talking about, yo, man, but J. Cole did this thing and he made this song for this. Like, shut up. It's always incredible to me how people can admit to being so ignorant and then be critical in this like absurd way. But that's what guys do. This is what we do. Constantly. You know? Yeah. Chance was like, that's an L. Folks were like, that's an L. And then you got all these other rappers talking about stuff. Talib Kweli was like, why are we canceling J. Cole? Like, dude. Look into it. Why are you asking folks? You got money. You got access. Look. You know what I mean? The man had time, right? Morning Haze, right? Like Chance Rapper said, yo, you took an L. And Foxy Brown, right? It's like, man had time to Google No Name's childhood story, but not some books. He had no time for the books. No time for the lectures. No time for the roundtable discussions. No time for the DMs. Nothing. But he had time to write this song and complain about her tone. Trash. Utter garbage. One thing that, like, as men, we're very good about is, right, woefully so, is complaining that we don't have, like, that people aren't helping us, that women aren't helping us. We are really good at that. We're really good at being like, but y'all not helping us. Even as Black women are doing so much work to help Black people and people in general, right? To get free from these patriarchal, capitalist, neoliberal, ableist, fatphobic states, right? Spaces, systems. again, anytime I hear a dude say that, I know they have not done most of the work that they should be doing and should have done. I know it. Because if you were aware of those things, of those people of those women who were out there, of those people who were out there, right? Of non-binary folks who are out here, all right? You would know that so much work is being done, but you don't know, and that's your fault. J. Cole want to be like, oh, she had these things, I didn't have these things. You're 35 years old. You are not 7. You are talking like you're a 7-year-old, and you can't do anything for yourself, right? And you can't do much for yourself. Not even 7, like 3, really. Because 7-year-olds are in school and are given jobs in their classrooms and are like, here, you're going to do this thing, you're going to do this thing, you're going to do this thing. You're going to lead this discussion at 7. What are you doing, man? We can't even treat you like a child. We can't even take that request because you're even more immature. Your development is even more not there. You know what I mean? It's just really sad. Just ridiculous. And the frustration that fills her words seems to come from the fact that most people don't see. Yeah, I'm frustrated. A lot of us are frustrated. Rightfully so. Again, the way in which he's written this, right, is like he's stating these things and he expects his fan base to treat them as just words that he's put down. But again, these things are deliberate. They always have ulterior motives, right? Rhetorical strategies that they're supported by, that these words are supported by. Stop it. Right? No Name is rightfully frustrated, angry, upset, saddened, galvanized, driven. Rightfully so. What about you, man? The only reason you're not as frustrated is because you're not as informed. You're not as aware. Folks who are aware in certain ways are very frustrated and angry and upset about things that are happening to black women, to black femmes, to... Come on. We're frustrated. We're angry. We're deeply upset. Now here's the next line, right? Which again, he does this. He does this in an entire song. Poetry, song, whatever. All these things are constructed in very particular ways, whether inadvertently or whether unconsciously or consciously. Either way, they come from the same places. So, when he mentioned that frustration, he immediately followed it with, just cause you woke and I'm not, that ain't no reason to talk like you better than me. Bruh, this dude is so consistent. He's so consistent about this, in this construction, in this rhetorical construction. He's very consistent. Right? Just cause you woke and I'm not, that ain't no reason to talk like you better than me. Oh my Lord. The insecurity. When did No Name say she's better than you? When did she speak those words? From what I saw, She was holding you and other folks accountable because you weren't doing what you needed to do at the time in which she tweeted that tweet. Just because you're doing things does not mean you don't also speak out if you have a social media platform. You can do those things and throw out a damn tweet. That's why even when Dave Chappelle in his little special was like, nah, I don't gotta say nothing. Yes, you do. Shut up, man. Yes, you do. You kidding me? Just because you woke and I'm not. Why are you admitting that you're not woke? Why are you criticizing someone who you admit is more aware than you are? The audacity, the clownery. Oh my goodness. You were going on at the beginning of your song talking about, I don't really know much. Folks shouldn't expect much of me even though I have this college degree. And then you have the nerve to come at someone who is doing the work, who was held accountable a little over a year ago and has done so much in that time. Oh my, I'm like, it's just so ridiculous. It's just like, it's like, are you serious, man? And it's again, it's not just J. Cole, but it's like the people that are defending him. Oh my Lord. Most of these people that are defending him, dumb black dudes, man. And it's not just black men, obviously, right? It's like also white dudes, predictably so. All right, non-black people of color, right? Of guys, right? Men, non-black men, right? Like, right, predictably so, right? Are just like, yeah, talk that talk, J. Cole. What are you talking about? What? Like, his talk is ridiculous. Why are you defending ridiculous talk? You seem You seem even more ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like, huh? It's like you're upset that you're not as aware, but you're not doing the work you need to do to be aware. You're complaining that women and other folks are not helping you be more aware, but you're not really doing the work on your own. You expect black women to do all of this emotional, intellectual labor and infantilize you. And it's just bizarre. It's such a bizarre ask. We're going to get to that line, but yo, it's so bizarre. Just sad. How you gonna lead when you attacking the very same, that really do need the things that you saying? Oh my God. One, you're not listening. You aren't listening anyways. Stop lying. And you're not being attacked. They're saying, yo, what are you doing? They were like, yo, what are you doing? What were you doing? There's a difference between literally being attacked in a certain way and being held accountable and accountability. If you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing and folks see that, they're going to be like, yo, what are you doing? You know what I mean? If I'm leading a classroom project and I see a group of, students and one of the students is just sitting around, is able to help, right? Just as much as everyone else in the group is able to help and is not doing anything, I got to be like, yo, what's going on? And if there's not a if there's not a reason that makes a certain amount of sense, right? I gotta be like, yo, what's going on? Right? But if it's children, I'm gonna tackle that in a very different way because they're children. You are 35 years old. People keep, it's like this weird, it's just this weird like disconnect. That's like, this like separation of like J. Cole, this like abstract, you know, this abstract sort of idea of J. Cole and the 35-year-old adult man, black man, cishet black man, right? That is like, why are you, come on, why are you attacking me, mom? Why are you doing that? You know, like, just ridiculous. And the folks who are defending him do similar things. That much I know. That much I know. Now, right? The information is out there. The resources are out there. No Name has consistently put that stuff out there on her TL, on her social media platforms. Y'all are literally asking for her to like spoon feed you these things. What do you want? Like a 5-foot spoon with some books on the spoon, and you want her to pick up the spoon with the books on them and put them towards your mouth? Is that what you want? I mean, just ridiculous, just sad, pathetic. Grow up. Right? And I say grow up, but it's like, you're already grown in a particular way. You're already in your big ages. What are you talking about? What are these bizarre requests to be infantilized? Instead of conveying, you holler, come help get us to speed. Again, J. Cole started the song with all of these backhanded sort of compliments, this false humility, right? So that he could present this. So that he could get to this place and his fans would be like, but he was so nice. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. He wasn't nice. He wasn't kind. And a lot of us realize this because we know how to close read. We know how to close read. We know how to close read. A lot of us have been taught this, have done that work. And even if we haven't been taught this in particular spaces, we know how to do it. Because we've done the work. We've done that. And a lot of you are willfully misreading things, ignoring things, and are unaware of things. I know a lot of y'all be like, context matters. But y'all don't really mean that. Y'all only mean that when the context is in support of your misogynoir. Anything outside of that, you ignore. Right? I'm seeing the lines that you're talking about. I'm analyzing those lines. I am very aware of those lines. I'm very aware of what's happening in those lines. I'm taking your thoughts into account and I'm saying this is what I see and this is why you are wrong. Y'all don't do that. You're not doing that. Look at this. Instead of conveying, you holler. Angry black woman. Again, this angry black woman like rhetoric, yo. He can't help himself. Right, sorry. Instead of conveying you holier. Sorry, holler. Instead of conveying you holier. Right? Even that is still related to that. Although in a sort of different way, right? This like, you're not better than me. Right? Sort of rhetoric. Which is usually a complete waste of time. It's always a waste of time. I remember this one guy who used to do that. He'd be like, you think you're better than everyone else? I'm like, what is the point of even asking that question? I hated that. It was so stupid. you know, and it was always used as a deflection. It's always used as a deflection to avoid any sort of accountability. You're not better than me. Okay, and in this like vague, abstract, philosophical, moral sense, you know what I mean, that they're sort of trying to attach their statement to. They're trying to support their statement with. It's corny. Damn, it's a reason it took like 200 years for our ancestors just to get freed. One more like we're not like they're like I can't even get into like the history of chattel slavery, the these sort of like rhetorical ideas of being free, right? Free from what? And why focus on that, right? Why focus on a very sort of, right, on a very particular kind of freedom in the sense of, right, like postbellum, the postbellum South, right? The Reconstruction period, right? The Reconstruction South, like, that's how I know you haven't really done your reading, right? Because you still have this very archaic sort of idea of being free after these amendments, right? After the 13th Amendment. And, you know, it ain't it. You know? It ain't it. Because, again, there were so many different things that were put into place after that. The postbellum South was incredibly racist, incredibly oppressive. And and even within the language of those laws that were set, right? There were, what's the word I'm looking for? Loopholes, right? Where you could literally be put back into slavery if you committed a crime. Right? And in that period, even before that, right? Even before the postbellum sort of southern period, right? But particularly after that was a large increase in the, right? What I want to say large increase in black, increase in incarcerated black people, right? And that's an instance that is important in history because it really sort of pinpoints, in one instance, the sort of beginnings of the exploitation of black folks per the prison industrial complex. So you cannot talk like, you can't be writing these doofy bars down, not even really knowing your history like that. No. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Like, you don't even know. You don't even know. You know what I mean? Jim Crow laws. Like, come on, man. Are you for real? You just wrote the song. Just keeps, you know? These shackles be locking the mental way more than the physical. I'm like, what do you... I hate that. That's like you're like... What's the word I'm looking for? You're invoking Kanye slavery was a choice rhetoric. You know what I mean? Where like these shackles be locking the mental way more than the physical. Like, you're invoking Kanye slavery was a choice rhetoric. You probably know that's what you're doing. But you wrote the lines anyway. I look at freedom like trees, can't grow forests like overnight. Stop giving yourself excuses for not doing the work. For not doing the work. You're not reading. You're not looking into things. You're not talking with the folks that you need to be talking to. And that's your fault. Why are you blaming No Name for that? Why are you blaming black women for that? That's your fault. This is the excuse that people sort of be like, well, we can't do these things overnight. So? Yeah, we know. Doesn't mean we're not going to do anything. Doesn't mean we're not going to institute initiatives right now that we haven't introduced initiatives that are community-based, that are set in harm reductive practices, and a black liberatory radical politic. What are you talking about, man? Hit the ghetto and slowly start planting your seeds. What is the point of you preaching your message to those that already believe what you believe? No, she's not preaching the message. She's not doing, like, she's doing that. Oh, she is, but that's also kind of like deflective and bad faith in a certain way. And I'll say why. Now, I think the one thing I think that men also have black men in general, like cishet black men, right? But cishet men in particular, have an issue with is this idea of community that holds its a community that holds its members accountable, but is also interested in harm reductive work and safety and love. And cishet men have a real problem with that. And I can tell you because certain communities that I've been in where they're largely filled with cishet men, extremely toxic, have a real hard time with feelings and being open and talking about those things. Right? And black men will sort of respond with, well, you know, that's not true. We do that all the time. We hold ourselves accountable. No, you don't. Because if we did, as a whole, as a collective, as a demographic, right? Like, then there wouldn't be particular issues. There were these issues, right? These problematics that exist would not be here. But they are. The proof is in the pudding. So, and this is the thing, black men, cishet black men's idea of our ideas of accountability are very different. I'm gonna say this one more time. Cishet black men's ideas, of accountability are very different. Are very different than black women, cis black women, trans black women, black femmes, non-binary folks, right? Their ideas, right, of, right, disabled black women, fat black women, right, and all these things, right, intersect in different ways, right? All of these women have very particular ideas, right, of accountability that differ in really important ways. And so when you're saying, oh, I hold my guys accountable, you probably don't. We probably don't. There's just a very particular difference. This is something that I think, again, it's really hard. It's really hard for black men to admit that, to see that, and to work towards being better. Very difficult. You know? So that's why J. Cole could be like, what's the point of you preaching your message to those that already believe what you believe? It's because that's like community functions in a way that's more nuanced than this corny line that you've just written, that you've put out here, right? And you want to be on the same page when it comes to particular things, right? There's, oh, I don't really like oranges like that, right? And someone else being like, oh, but I love oranges, right? There's that, which is like whatever, right? And then there's, oh, I don't really like black bi men, I think there's something wrong with them. And then me being like, nah, screw you, man. No, absolutely not. Right? That's huge. Right? That is a direct attack on my existence. As opposed to, well, I don't like oranges, but this person likes oranges. I do like oranges, but you get what I'm saying. Right? It's like, whatever. Who cares? Because that person could just go around not eating oranges and I could eat oranges. Simple. But the other thing, that is not simple. I mean, it is in some ways, right? Where I'm just like, nah, screw you. Go figure out your stuff with somebody who is open to helping you. I'm not open to that. You know what I mean? So community is really important. And cishet black men have a really hard time thinking about community in a way that is antithetical to the ways in which they've been raised, not even raised, but like, well, yeah, they've been raised and coddled and made to believe community should look like. Very different. So that's a problem. And that's something that I've tried in the past with different with different like spaces to work through, to different varying levels of success. Not even success. I wouldn't even say success, but it's like work, you know? So, you know, there's that. All right. We're not going to get through the whole song, but I'm gonna stop at a certain point. I'm going to stop at the bridge, because after that, it's like garbage. I don't care about that stuff. I'm going to stop like right before the bridge. So, let's keep going. I'm going to be a little bit faster here now. Let's see. It says, I'm on some screw or retweet. Most people is sheep. This is another thing that really sort of bugs me. Again, like, I don't know anyone who is invested in a black liberatory radical politic that uses that sort of language, like people are sheep. I don't know. And there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? There's a reason for that. And I think that's because sort of like at the core of that sort of politic is I think, belief in people as individuals, right, with hopes, dreams, interests, disinterests, likes, dislikes, gender, sexualities, queer experience, queer existences, and then there's those individuals working together in a community that has very particular black radical liberatory sort of politics that center the people who are most marginalized and most oppressed and most harmed in different ways. So that's why, like, we don't use a sheep line, because it's very telling. It's very telling in terms of like, I think that rhetoric is usually used by individuals that are particularly enmeshed in a sort of like capitalist neoliberal or neoliberal capitalist like sentiment, you know, economically, socially. And so that's why whenever you see people who do use that's there's always like rhetoric that follows those types of lines. Right? So retweet. What do you mean screw a retweet? Retweet. The only reason you're not retweeting is because you don't know anybody who's really about it, who's really doing what they're supposed to be doing and is about that work. You're not retweeting. You don't view social media as particularly useful, even though you should. And because you know your fan base is just gonna sort of like take in all of your like garbage words and follow with that, you just put it out here. And now you're getting embarrassed on the TL. Probably on Instagram too. I'm not really on Instagram, but probably on Instagram too. You got all the answers, but how are you going to reach? No Name has never said she has all the answers. No Name has consistently said that she does not have all the answers, and that she's consistently talking with folks, right? And that they work together, and that no one person has all the answers. We know this. That's why we're constantly working towards different realities, different possibilities, like different imagined communities and existing communities, right? So yeah, that you sound like a baby. You don't got all the answers. Like you sound like Kanye again. This is like you're invoking this Kanye rhetoric. You might not even know it. You ain't got the answer, Sway rhetoric. Right? And I mean, Sway's solution, presented solution was not particularly great, anyways, right? Where it was very sort of enmeshed in a sort of black capitalist ideal, in like start your own company, do that, become an entrepreneur in that way. Which is funny because No Name was dragged on the TL for that type of thought, and then she learned and she grew and she put in the work, and you're still here and 35 years old in your big age, and it seems like you haven't learned much, and you are admitting that you don't know much, yet you are giving advice knowing that. That's like if I could walk up to a astrophysicist and was like, maybe I could give you some advice on how to fix that engine right there. I don't know what I'm doing. Why would I do that? Right? And that's not to say that I couldn't give anything. I could sort of advise them maybe in terms of like, on maybe like a self-care sort of level, and that's it. But that's very different, right? But here it's like you are like, right? He's done all these things, right? You were so smart, you're brilliant, you've done all this work, you're great. But let me give you some advice, even though I've said in my own song that I don't know what I'm doing and that I don't really know anything. That's why all of those compliments were backhanded and trash in the ways that he presented them, right? Because he knew that he was coming to this moment in his song. He knew it. And so he knew that if he couched this moment in all the stuff prior to, that certain individuals who listen to his song, certain parts of his fan base, would eat it up. But a lot of us did not, because we see what's happening there. We see it. Let's see. If I could make one more suggestion respectfully, you haven't been respectful, so why are you asking to make, right? So why are you asking to make one more suggestion respectfully? Because you know that certain people glob onto particular words, right? And use those words to deflect from accountability, from criticism. I asked you respectfully. I called you smart. I said you've done so much work. Could you maybe not criticize me? You know what I mean? It's like a similar thing, and it's insulting, right? It's an insulting thing because, like, one of the things that I can sort of come back to in terms of like an example is like when a doctor is like, here's a lollipop. Okay, now I'm gonna take out the syringe and inject this vaccine or whatever, right? It's medicine or whatever, right? It's infantilized. Like, you've infantilized yourself, but you want to go around. You're asking to be infantilized, but you want to go around infantilizing folks, acting like they don't know better. Nah, screw you, man. Trash. I would say it's more effective to treat people like children. No, because children are children. Children are children. This is a very basic idea, but it's important. Children are children. Adults are adults. You know, and what I'll say is, well, no. Let me take that back because I think to me, like, that's a very sort of like, it can be ableist, right? Because it doesn't take into consideration individuals who are not at the same neurotypical sort of like level, right? Neurologically wise. So I'm taking that back. I apologize, truly. But I think, but I'll say this. I think in J. Cole's case, I'm not gonna say that generally. In J. Cole's case, J. Cole is 35 years old. He's gone to college, got a degree, rapping. Doesn't seem to have any sort of history of developmental issues or anything like that. So I'm talking about J. Cole. Again, many apologies for what I was saying before. That wasn't it. Got to be better about that. In J. Cole's particular case, right? It's like J. Cole is an adult. J. Cole is not a child. He's not 7. He is not 7 in mentally, physically, or anything like that. Right? So, no, J. Cole, we're not going to treat you like a child. No, we're going to treat you like a 35-year-old who is coming at No Name in a very insensitive, misogynoir-esque like way. Trash. Understanding the time and love and patience that's needed to grow. Dude, you're 35. No Name is not your mother. She's not. She's not your mother. Look at all this. Look at all the resources that she's presented. What are you doing? Why haven't you used them? That's a choice. Yeah? It's a choice. No. So no. We will not have patience for you. We will not have love for you when you clearly do not have love for us. Right? For a black woman. For No Name. In that way. You can say that you do, but your actions say that you don't. All right, I'm almost done here because the rest of this is like whatever. This change is inevitable, but ain't none of us seen this before. No, people have seen different things before. I think this is a critical moment. But what are you gonna say after that? Here it comes. Therefore, we just gotta learn everything as we go. Which is also true to an extent, right? It's like, yeah, you're always learning, but at this point, you should be much further ahead than you are. You, J. Cole, you should be. And a lot of black men who are similar to you should be much further ahead, right? In age, mental capacity, all those different things, right? Should be much further ahead than they are. I struggle with thoughts on the daily. Feel like a slave that somehow saved enough coins to buy his way. I'm not even getting into that. I'm not getting into like the sort of comparisons, like individuals comparing themselves to actual indentured, like slaves, indentured black people, right? Right. So I'm not doing that. I'm not even getting into that. That's just like, no, don't do that. That's about as far in as I'm gonna go in for that. Thinking just maybe in my pursuit to make life so much better for me and my babies. See, and again, he's couching this in this like, I'm just doing this for these people. I'm doing this for these really noble reasons. You just try to go in on no name, and now you're again couching it in this false humility, this corny this like nobility that really belies an insidious motives. Okay? I done betrayed the very same people that look like me. I'm some kind of hero because of the zeros that next to the commas. But look here, I promise I'm not who you think. Ran into this person outside of the store yesterday. He said something that had me like, wait. He was like, Cole, appreciate what you've been doing. That's real. But damn, why I feel faker than snow to like, it's like, dude, your insecurity is just showing, right? Again, you put out a song, just do the work, man. Do the work. Well, maybe because deep down I know I ain't doing enough. Again, he's couching his just garbage critiques, right, of No Name in this false humility. That's what J. Cole is doing. This is what men do all the time. Right? I've seen people do this all the time. I haven't really read much. But I'll say this thing that supposedly is supposed to be profound, even though I haven't done the work. Shut up. Just shut up and go do your work. And speak up and speak up when you're defending, when you're gonna actually be about it. Trash. I'm stopping here because the rest of the song is corny. And it's just even more like infantilizing. It's just bizarre. Weird. Okay? I'm not getting into it, Stebo. DM me. Alright? Request a DM, do that. That's what I said on my TL. That's what I want you to do. Not getting into it here. I said what I had to say. I'll talk to you in the DM. I hate that a lot of young people are gonna they're gonna soak it up. They're gonna take it in like, oh yeah. Watch the whole video. Steve-O, watch the whole video. Cause I talked about this. I went into the lyrics for an hour and like 40 minutes. Hour and 42 minutes. Watch the video. Alright? Alright? Okay? And the reason why I say insidious is because here's the definition of insidious, right? So my definition says proceeding in a gradual, subtle way, but with harmful effects. That's why I use that particular word, right? I could have said, I could use so many other words. I could have said incredibly aggressive and all these different things, right? I could have said all these different things, but I said insidious because it's very particular, right? There's a reason why Darth Sidious is called Darth Sidious. Because he proceeds in, right? Because Chancellor Palpatine proceeds in a gradual, subtle way, but with harmful effects. That's what he does. That's why he doesn't just come out in episode 1 and is like, boom, 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 boom. Screw the Jedi. Like, he takes all 3 episodes. He's setting all of that up. This is the thing. This is what insidious actions. Right? They are very gradual, and J. Cole is he's been very deliberate here in that. In these backhanded, in these sort of, right, in this false humility, setting himself up to be like this person, right, almost infantilizing himself, which is like bizarre. It's just bizarre. It's like, why would you do that? Right? Um, and right, why would you do that, J. Cole? I'm talking to J. Cole particularly, right? Why would you do that, J. Cole? And again, these compliments that are sort of supposed to like hedge what's coming and his criticisms of No Name, right? These are not valid criticisms, right? They're supposed to paint No Name in a negative light. That's what it's supposed to do. Anyone who is saying otherwise does not know what they are looking at. You gotta read those words carefully. You cannot willfully misread the lyrics. You cannot do that. I said this in the past to students where, we've gone over a poem and we'll be reading, an Emily Dickinson poem, like Hope is a Thing with Feathers, something like that. Or, Langston Hughes' Dream Deferred, or, it's another one. Aracelis Germain, I can't remember the title of the poem. Estrangement, I think it's called. Second Estrangement, right? Or those poems, right? Where it's like, you gotta read. You cannot just willfully be like, oh, this is what's happening here. That's how. Look at these little words that I pulled out from little parts of the song. You gotta go through the entire song, right? And be like, this is what's happening. This is how J. Cole is structuring it. And this is why it's deliberate, and this is why it's insidious. And that's why I use that particular word, insidious. That's why I did not use any other word. That's what's happening there. That's what's happening there. And again, it's not just the song, but it's the context. Like a lot of folks like the context. Context really matters here. History matters here. The history of violence done upon black women by black men, by men generally, right? Done upon black femmes, like this is a thing, right? And I say a thing that way because I want you to understand the severity of it. So that's why we gotta be real particular and careful about how we're reading these things. You can't just be like, but J. Cole gave it his compliments, so now I'm gonna willfully ignore everything else. You can't do that. That's not how you read things. That's not how you read poetry. That's not how you read music. That's why you see all these guys out here that are like, oh, it wasn't even, because they're not reading it properly. They're not. They will tell you they are, and they will be so convinced of it that they will come on here like, I read it and I didn't see anything wrong. That's because you're not reading it properly. That's because you aren't aware of certain things. That's why. Right? And if you are unaware, you better get aware. Because if you continue to be unaware, you're going to continue to be harmful. And black women, black femmes, black non-binary folks, like all these folks, right? Cis black women, trans black women, all these women are going to continue to be harmed, killed. Because you don't want to do the work. I've been telling y'all, Steve-O, you know this. I've been telling these dudes for years, do the work. I said that, and I'm gonna sort of one time because I mean this. I said that shit hundreds of times. It's the only time I'm gonna swear. That's it. I said it hundreds of times. Did they listen? No. Have they gotten better? No. Are they looking at this song and probably reading it wrong? Yeah. I would bet. I bet all my money. So, and there it is. Putting my headphones in my pocket. There it is. So, that's why I believe his intentions are insidious. But again, feel free to DM me if you really need that. If you need that clarification, like I asked on my TL. If you really bout it, if you really bout getting that clarification, that's what you're going to do. If you're not about it, you're not going to do it. And then you're going to be like, oh, well, you know, right? You're going to couch your inability to do the work in these corny excuses. And I'm not talking about you, Steve. I'm just like talking about like people generally. Although I will say, I would encourage you, Steve-O, to DM me. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. I would encourage you to push folks. That's what I would do. Even if it hurts, even if you feel like you're talking to a brick wall, Steve-O, that's what you got to do until you feel like, oh, they're not really going to listen. And then you'll figure out, this ain't it. I'm not going to waste my energy doing this. Although, I'm not going to stop talking to people or saying these things. Y'all already know this. So, this is where we're at. All right, I'm going to stop here because it's almost 2 hours. But I wanted to go through it. The rest of the lyrics or whatever, it's just him infantilizing himself, and it's like, it's just weird. And really counterproductive for him, you know? Even though he doesn't think it is. Right? But it's still couched in like this very insidious sort of nature, right? Where he's like, oh, I'm doing these things where like I wanna put No Name in a bad light, and I want to present her in this particular way, but I want to make but I want to make sure that I've couched that insidious intent in this magnanimous language. That's what he's doing in this generous language. That's what he's doing in this whole song. But like I said, last thing I'm going to say, these fans, they won't see it because they're not reading it properly. They're not reading it properly. And they're not seeing those things. And the reason why I can see those things is because I've seen this before. I've seen those rhetorical strategies used before. And this is stuff that I did when I was like a kid. 17-year-old me was garbage. Hot garbage. So I know. Right? Being self-reflective is also crucial to this work. You got to be self-reflective. You got to know like, oh man, when I was this age in this particular time, I was terrible. I distinctly remember a time where I was in this like cohort, and I was like 21, and I gaslighted this woman, and I think about that literally almost every day, because I know that I was horrible in that moment. That there was so much work that I needed to do after that acknowledgement, after that realization, after being called out on that. And it's like, we have to do that all the time. You can't just be like, all right, I saw this one word where J. Cole said something nice, and like, oh, he said something nice, so he was being nice. That's like not it. Some of these folks went through college, got degrees in literature, and are still pulling the stuff. And that's why it's even worse, because they know they're not reading it properly. So I'm out of here. I gotta go. It is 5 o'clock. I gotta go get something to drink because my throat. I'm gonna need some fruit. And I'm going. All right. So let me get out of here. Thank y'all for coming through. All right. To Ramblings number 9, titled Queen Tone. Y'all gotta get on it. Let's go. I've been saying this for years. I'm tired. Right? And I'm tired, but I gotta keep it moving. So thank y'all for coming through. Shout out to Morning Haze in the chat for coming through. Shout out to Steve to coming through in the chat. Shout out to Dame Dr. Foxy Brown for coming through in the chat. All right. I'm getting out of here. And you know, and I'm out. All right, I'm gonna talk more about other things, but this is the last time I'm gonna talk about this on YouTube. All right, and really on Twitter, unless it's like DMs. So DM me if you want to know things, you know, if you want to learn certain things or you want to talk about these things and be made, you know, and have certain things clarified in certain ways. All right, and again, I'm here. So if you want to talk, we'll talk. If you do not, we won't, and I will keep it pushing. And my friends will keep it pushing. And my comrades will keep it pushing. All of us will keep it pushing. That's what we're going to do. So, thank y'all for coming through. I'm the Black Manga Critic. I'll get to some manga probably not tonight. Maybe I'll read like a Spy Family chapter or something. All right? Because that's happy and I like happy things. But thank y'all for coming through. I'm the Black Manga Critic. And I'm out, ya.